Do you ever look at your life and realize it was just a beautiful blueprint for a heist, that the love, the friendship, the deepest secrets you shared were all just calculated steps for your own ruin? I have. I found them, not in my bedroom, but in my home office, the room where I earn every single dollar they were planning to steal. They didn't know my user interview microphone is the most sensitive on the market, and I silently turned it on. My name is Alara Vance. The heavy oak front door closes with a soft, expensive click. The house is silent, saturated with the faint, sterile smell of lemon polish and the stale coffee from Marcus's morning cup. I am home 3 hours early. The big afternoon strategy session at Nexus Analytics canceled at the last minute. A senior VP had a family emergency. I slip off my heels on the cool marble of the entryway, letting the silence settle over me. It is a welcome blanket after a week of back-to-back meetings, but the blanket is thin. I hear voices. They are low, whispering, and they are coming from my office, my soundproof office. My pulse does not quicken. It stops. The air in the foyer feels thick, heavy. I move down the hall, my stockinged feet whispering over the runner. The door to my sanctuary, the one room in this house I paid to have professionally soundproofed for my deep dive user interviews, is not closed. It is open, just a sliver. I press my eye to the gap, my body rigid. The air freezes in my lungs. This is not what I expected. This is infinitely worse. My husband, Marcus Thorne, is sitting in my chair, my ergonomic, custom-fitted, $1,000 chair. He is leaning forward, his shoulders hunched in concentration. Standing beside him, so close that her blonde hair brushes his cheek as she leans in, is Chloe Bennett, my neighbor, my best friend, the woman who held my hand when my last project pitch was rejected. They are not kissing. They are not touching in that way. They are focused. Intensely. They are staring at my main monitor, the ultra-wide screen I use for data mapping. Marcus is pointing at the waveform display on my specialized recording software, my software. He is wearing my headphones, the noise-canceling Bose I use for transcribing sensitive sessions. He swivels the boom of my microphone, the professional-grade condenser mic that costs more than his entire watch collection, and hands it to Chloe. Chloe's voice snakes through the opening, dripping with a sharp, metallic contempt I have never heard before. Are you sure this thing is sensitive enough to mimic her voice? God, her voice is so weak and boring. A low laugh from Marcus. My husband. Don't worry. I have a solid month of her interview files right here. We will practice. I recoil, pressing my back flat against the hallway wall. The plaster is cold, a shock against my skin. My heart is not beating. It is slamming against my ribs, a trapped bird trying to break free. Practice. I fumble for my phone, my fingers trembling so hard I almost drop it on the hardwood. The screen blinds me. I open the app for the smart camera, the little cube I keep on the bookshelf to watch the cat when I travel. The connection lags for one agonizing second. The blue light in the corner of the room must be invisible to them. The feed stabilizes. I am not just looking at them. I am looking with them. I see my own desktop, perfectly clear from the camera's angle, my project folders, my timelines, and a new audio file sitting squarely on the desktop. The name burns into my retinas: Ilera, practice, vocals. I watch as Marcus's hand moves the mouse. He highlights the file. He clicks the red record button in the software. He leans toward the microphone, and then he speaks, not in an imitation of my voice, not in Chloe's. He speaks in his own calm, confident baritone. Hello, this is Alara Vance. I am calling to confirm the full liquidation and transfer of all assets in my investment trust fund. The sound from my phone's speaker is tiny, tinny, but the words are catastrophic. This is not an affair. This is not a sordid midday fling. They are not practicing to mimic my voice. They are planning to steal my identity. They are planning to steal everything. That trust fund. That is what this is about. I was not born to this. I grew up in a cramped apartment, sharing a room with my sister. The wealth, this house, the stocks, the bonds, the entire foundation of my adult life came from my Aunt Clara. She was a brilliant, eccentric software engineer who saw something in me and left me everything when she passed 5 years ago. This house was her house. The trust fund was her legacy. Marcus Thorne was my husband. He was supposed to be my partner. When I met him, he was a rising star, a financial analyst with a future so bright it burned. Then, a year after we married, he voluntarily left his firm. He wanted to be his own boss. He said, a day trader. He claimed the stress of the corporate ladder was killing him. He set up his base of operations in the spare bedroom, the one that would eventually become my soundproof office. He was so supportive of my career, always pushing me to aim higher at Nexus Analytics. Then Chloe Bennett moved in next door. Exactly 2 years ago. A single, beautiful woman with a story for everything. A bad breakup, a lost job, a family that did not understand her. She was magnetic in her vulnerability, and I fell for it completely. I opened my home and my life to her. She became the sister I never had. We shared wine on the patio, complained about work, and I, in my trusting stupidity, shared everything. I told her about my frustrations with Nexus, my professional ambitions, and even the specific intricate details of Aunt Clara's trust. The setup was so gradual, so patient. About 6 months ago, they cornered me in the kitchen, energized and bright. They had a business idea, a revolutionary mental wellness app. My UX expertise would be invaluable. They said, Marcus would handle the finance, Chloe the marketing. They just needed my guidance, and, eventually, a little seed capital to get the prototype built. I see it now, the blueprint. I remember Marcus, just last month, sighing with exaggerated concern over my digital security. Ilara, you are a high-level researcher, he said, his voice laced with that earnest tone I loved. You cannot just have passwords on sticky notes. He convinced me to modernize. He personally installed a comprehensive password manager, helping me migrate everything. For convenience, he'd said with a smile. My bank accounts, my personal email, my access to the Nexus Analytics servers, and, of course, the login credentials for the trust, all neatly consolidated, all under a master password he helped me create. The way they became so close, I dismissed it. I am not a jealous person. I saw their constant whispering, their shared lunches while I was on calls, as business partner synergy. I was proud of them. I was proud that my husband and my best friend were building something together. I even remember Marcus laughing one night after we'd tried to use a voice-activated menu for a movie. Your voice is so clear, Ilara, he'd joked. I bet I could impersonate you on any of these stupid automated systems. I'd swatted his arm, laughing with him. Now, standing in the cold hallway, the full sickening weight of the past 2 years crashes down on me. I remember how Marcus encouraged me to spend the money, a full $15,000 on the professional soundproofing for my office. You deserve a quiet space, honey, he insisted. Total privacy for your important work. He wanted privacy, not for my work. He wanted a soundproof box where he and his partner could rehearse my financial execution over and over until they got it perfectly right, all while I was in the next room, funding their entire operation. I do not scream. I do not run into the office. I move backward, one silent step at a time, my stockinged feet making no sound on the hardwood floor. I slide my feet back into my heels, retrieve my bag from the entryway table, and walk out the front door. I close it with the soft, hydraulic sigh that I have always loved. I am invisible. I drive 3 blocks to a generic chain coffee shop, the Daily Grind, a place with terrible music and reliable open Wi-Fi. I need neutral ground. I need to think. My hands shake so badly that I have to use two of them to steady the cup of bitter, burnt coffee I buy. I find a booth in the back corner, the vinyl cracked and cold against my skin. Think. Ilara, you are a researcher. Analyze the behavior. I pull out my phone. First principles. Secure my assets. I open my banking app. I type in the password, the complex one Marcus helped me create and store in the new Secure Password Manager. Password incorrect. Please try again. My fingers are cold. I type it again. Slower. Checking every character. Password incorrect. A cold sweat breaks out on my neck. He did it. He must have changed the master password to the manager, locking me out of everything at once. Fine. I dial the bank's automated customer service line. I will use the voice verification system, the one they insisted was foolproof. Please state your name and security voice password. The digitized voice commands. I take a deep breath, trying to inject calm into my voice. Ilara Vance. The river runs deep. There is a pause, a soft beep. We are sorry. The voice print provided does not match our records. Please try again. Ilara Vance, I say, louder this time, enunciating every syllable. The river runs deep. Voice print mismatch. Security protocol engaged. Your account is temporarily locked. The phone feels slick in my hand. My stomach plummets. Her voice is so weak and boring. We will practice. They did not just practice. They succeeded. They replaced my biometric data. They replaced me with a recording of Chloe. They have locked me out of my own life using a forgery of my own voice. My mind leaps. My work. Nexus Analytics. The password manager held that login too. I call the Nexus IT help desk, forcing my voice into a mask of professional annoyance. Hi, Dave. It's Ilara Vance. Sorry to bother you. I am working remotely, and I just got a really convincing phishing email. I am 99% sure I did not click it, but I am paranoid. Can you run a quick diagnostic on my account access? Make sure nothing looks strange. Hey, Ilara, no problem. Better safe than sorry. Dave's familiar voice crackles. Let me check your activity logs. Hang on 1 second. I listen to the awful hold music, my gaze fixed on a crack in the cafe's tile floor. Okay, Ilara, that is weird, he says, his tone shifting from casual to concerned. I am not seeing any active intrusion flags, but I am seeing a massive data transfer from your account. It looks like 2 days ago. Yeah, 48 hours ago. Tuesday night. A transfer. My voice is a whisper. Yeah, a full archival download of the entire user research repository for Project Odyssey. Looks like it was dumped to an external hard drive, connected directly to your home office terminal. Did you make a backup? The coffee cup slips from my fingers, shattering on the floor. A few people turn to look. I do not move. Project Odyssey. Odyssey is not just a project. It is the multi-million-dollar next-generation platform that Nexus Analytics has bet its entire future on. The data I have been collecting is the most sensitive, valuable intellectual property the company owns. This is not a simple theft. This is not just my money. This is corporate espionage. 48 hours ago, Tuesday night. My mind flashes back. I was at the main campus, running a late-night focus group. I told Marcus I would not be home until after midnight. My phone is still in my hand. My thumb moves, closing the call log, opening the app for my external security cameras. The driveway. I scroll back. Tuesday, 10:15 p.m. There. I watch Marcus, my husband, open our front door. He is not alone. He is welcoming a man I have never seen before. A tall man in a dark hoodie carrying a heavy-duty laptop case. A professional. A tech specialist. They walk inside. They were in my office. The pieces slammed together with bone-jarring force. The voice mimicking was just part of it. They brought in an expert. They were not just practicing. They were executing. This is their backup plan. If the trust fund theft failed, they would frame me as the mole. They would destroy my career, my reputation, and my entire life by making me the one who sold out Project Odyssey. I do not cry. The girl who shattered the coffee cup is gone, replaced by the part of me that designs user flow diagrams. There will be no tears. There will be no panicked call to the police. What would I tell them that my husband changed a password, that my best friend is good at impressions, that data is missing from a server? They would call it a domestic dispute or a civil matter. Marcus and his specialist were professionals. They wiped the logs. They knew exactly what they were doing. I am a user experience researcher. My entire job is to understand user behavior, to anticipate user needs, and to identify pain points. Marcus and Chloe are my new users. Their user story is to defraud me and my company. Their persona is that of the loving husband and the needy best friend. They believe my primary characteristic is empathy. They think I am emotional, soft, and easily manipulated. That is the vulnerability they are exploiting. Fine. I will give them the user experience they expect. My phone buzzes on the table, skating across the sticky residue of spilled coffee. A text from Marcus. Hey baby, amazing news. Chloe and I got a surprise meeting with that angel investor. It's looking really good. Going to be super late. Don't wait up for me. Love you. The love you is a particularly nice touch. A perfect piece of user interface text designed to reassure and deflect. A lie. I know it is a lie. I open the Find My app on my phone, the iPad I lent him last month, the one he needed for his trading charts, is active. I tap the icon. My screen fills with a map, showing a small blue dot pulsing steadily. It is not in a downtown high-rise. It is not in any financial district. It is at an address on the far side of town, nestled in the wealthiest suburban enclave. A place where the houses are hidden behind acres of trees and iron gates. I pay for my coffee, leave a $10 bill for the mess on the floor, and walk out into the harsh afternoon light. The drive takes 45 minutes. I obey the speed limit. I signal every turn. I am a machine. I turn onto a private road, the name Whispering Pines Lane etched into a large, polished boulder. I park my car down the street, out of sight. The house is a stunning piece of modern architecture, all glass, steel, and stark white stone. A for sale sign hangs discreetly from a post near the driveway. Parked in that driveway, gleaming in the sun, are two cars, Marcus's black BMW, Chloe's white convertible. They are not meeting an investor. They are house shopping. A new kind of cold settles into my bones. This is more than a plan. This is a celebration. They are already spending the money they have not even finished stealing. I stand there, shielded by an overgrown oak tree, and pull out my phone again. I am not a researcher for nothing. I search the address. The listing pops up on a luxury real estate site. 6 bedrooms, 7 baths, infinity pool, smart home integration. I scan past the photos, my eyes catching a single brutal word on the listing status. Pending. My fingers move, dialing the number for the listing agent. My voice, when I speak, is smooth, bright, and interested. Hi, I am calling about the property on Whispering Pines. I saw the listing online and it is just spectacular. I was wondering if it was still available to view. The realtor, a woman with a brisk, professional voice, clicks her tongue. Oh, that one, it is a stunner. Is not it? I am so sorry, ma'am, but that property just closed. You would not believe the whirlwind. Oh, no, I say, injecting a perfect note of disappointment. It was just what I was looking for. It must have been a cash offer. The realtor laughs, a conspiratorial sound. You have no idea. We received a full payment. All cash offer this morning via an international wire transfer. Closed in under 3 hours. It all went through a shell corporation, some foreign investment fund. Honestly, I have never seen anything move that fast. The line goes quiet as I process. An international wire transfer. This morning. They already have the money. It clicks. This is not the next step. This is the result. The house was not purchased with the potential of my trust fund. It was purchased with the proceeds from Project Odyssey. They sold my company's data 48 hours ago. They are not here to shop. They are here to take possession of their new home. I drove back in complete silence. The 45-minute journey from the suburbs was a blank, sterile space. When I pulled my car into the driveway, the house looked different. It was no longer my home. It was a set, the stage where they had rehearsed my financial and social execution. The air inside was still and cold, carrying the faint scent of Chloe's perfume. The realization settled over me, not as a hot flash of rage, but as a cold, hard, logical conclusion. Marcus did not support my high-pressure career at Nexus Analytics. He needed it. He needed my late nights, my security clearances, my exhaustion. He needed my high-level access. I was not his partner. I was his unwitting accomplice, his key to the data vault. And Chloe, she was not some weak, manipulated follower. She was a co-architect, moving in next door. The 2 years of carefully cultivated sisterly friendship, the endless cups of coffee, the shared secrets, it was a strategic infiltration. A long-con performance designed to map my vulnerabilities and my assets. I walked past my office, the room where it happened. I did not look inside. I went to the guest bedroom, to the back of the closet, and pulled out my old personal laptop, the one I had before Marcus modernized my life and consolidated all my technology. It was clean. I sat on the edge of the guest bed, the floral comforter cold beneath me, and booted it up. I opened a new, blank document. This was not a report on user empathy. This was a case study. I typed, Subjects Marcus Thorne, Chloe Bennett. Objective 1. Recover all stolen assets, both personal and corporate. 2. Expose the full scope of the conspiracy. 3. Ensure they can never again use my identity, my voice, or my data against me. But I needed more information. I had acted on the visual. I had not fully processed the audio from the camera. I pulled out my phone and opened the smart camera app. The recording from that afternoon was still cached. The clip I had watched through a haze of shock in the coffee shop. I put in my earbuds, the cheap wired ones I keep in my travel bag, and pressed play. I needed to hear every word, every nuance. I heard Chloe's contempt. God, her voice is so weak and boring. I heard Marcus's dry run of the trust fund theft. But I kept listening. I skipped forward, past the initial shock, to the conversation after they practiced. Okay, that is done, Marcus says. He sounds bored, clinical. The voice transfer is a solid backup, but the Odyssey data is the real win. The house is paid for. What happens when she finds out Chloe's voice, sharp and practical? When she checks the trust, or when Nexus finds the breach? She will not be checking anything, Marcus says. That calm, confident baritone. I am planting a backdoor file on her server access. When Nexus finally traces the breach, it will not lead to us. It will lead directly to her login credentials. I will make sure they find it. My blood ran cold. They were going to frame me. Then, the true objective, the line that stopped my heart. And the trust fund, Chloe asks. Think, Chloe, think. Marcus scoffs. After she's arrested for industrial espionage, who steps in? The grieving, blindsided husband. I will petition the court. I will get full control of her trust fund to clean up her mess and fix the damage. They will give it to me without a second glance. They did not just want the money. They wanted to see me in prison. They wanted me disgraced, ruined, and locked away while they lived in their new glass house, spending my family's legacy. They wanted everything. My hands were perfectly steady. The shock was gone, replaced by a crystalline, diamond-hard focus. I looked at my phone, at the glowing text message from Marcus. Don't wait up for me. Love you. I tapped the screen. My thumbs moved smoothly. Good luck with the investor. Sounds amazing. I'm so tired. Just heading to bed. Love you. I hit send. The curtain was up. The performance had begun. I spent the remainder of the night in the guest room, fully dressed, my back pressed against the headboard. I did not sleep. I listened to the sounds of the house, the click of the thermostat, the hum of the refrigerator. At precisely 2:30 in the morning, I heard the front door open and close, the lock sliding home with a well-oiled whisper. I heard Marcus move through the house, pour a glass of water, and walk directly into our master bedroom. He never checked the guest room. At 6 in the morning, I was out of the house before the sky had begun to lighten. I did not call a divorce attorney. I did not call the local police. I called the one person in my life who had infinitely more to lose than I did. I called Julian Hayes's private cell phone. Julian is the chief counsel for Nexus Analytics. He is a man who exists on a diet of legal precedents and shareholder reports, known for his brutal efficiency and a loyalty to the company that bordered on fanaticism. He answered on the second ring. Hayes. Julian. It is Alara Vance, I said, my voice low and steady. I have a severe internal breach regarding Project Odyssey. It is compromised. I cannot speak on an open line, and I cannot go to the office. I need to meet you. Now. He did not ask what I meant. He did not ask if I was sure. He simply said, 1 hour, and gave me the address of a nondescript corporate suite in a glass tower I did not recognize. It was a shell office, a legal safe house. He was waiting for me alone in a large, empty boardroom. He looked impeccable, as always, and deeply annoyed. This better be a legitimate catastrophe. Alara. I said nothing. I walked to the table, opened my clean laptop, and plugged in the encrypted drive I had prepared. I believe the company is under active attack, I said. And I have definitive proof. I played the audio from my office camera, the recording of Marcus and Chloe, their voices, clear as a bell, filled the sterile room as they discussed practicing my voice. I watched Julian's face. It did not change, but a single muscle in his jaw began to pulse. Then I played the second clip, the one where Marcus laid out the plan to frame me for the Odyssey data theft, the plan to have me arrested for industrial espionage. Julian was silent for a full 30 seconds after the recording clicked off. He stared at the blank screen. For the last 6 months, he said, his voice a low, cold monotone. Nexus has been bleeding. Small data leaks. Fragments of code. We suspected a mole in senior leadership. We have been tearing the company apart trying to find him. He finally turned his gaze to me. It was sharp enough to cut. And now I know. The mole was not in leadership. The mole burrowed into our servers through your living room. He stood and walked to the window, staring down at the city. This is worse than you know. Ilara. What do you mean? The data from Project Odyssey. We know it was stolen on Tuesday. We just did not know how, and we know who it was sold to. He turned back. They did not sell this to a competitor. They sold it to the Veronan Syndicate. The name meant nothing to me. Julian saw my confusion and scoffed. It is an international cybercrime organization. They do not build products. They build ransomware. They blackmail governments. The wire transfer your husband received for that house was not clean investment money. It was laundered. The room tilted. This was not fraud. This was not an affair. This was federal. Marcus is not just a gold digger. Ilara, Julian said, his voice devoid of any sympathy. He is a sophisticated data broker. He played the part of the washed-up day trader perfectly. He vetted you, he married you, and he used you as the perfect empathetic shield. He was already on his phone, dialing a number from memory. I am sending a team to your house, a private cybersecurity firm. They are the best. They will sweep every inch of that place. You will go to a hotel. You will not go home. You will not contact your husband. As of this moment, you are a protected asset of Nexus Analytics, and you will do exactly as I say. The call came 3 hours later, as I sat in a sterile hotel room overlooking a freeway. It was Julian. They are done, he said. His voice was grim. Alara, the audio bugs were amateur hour. They were thorough. Your office. Your keyboard. What about it? I asked, my throat tight. It was not your keyboard. It was a duplicate. An identical model, weighted perfectly, swapped out months ago. The one you have been typing on every single day, writing emails, accessing servers, talking to me. It had a hardware keylogger embedded inside. They did not just steal your voice, Alara. They have a record of every single keystroke you have made for at least 6 months. My life became a piece of theater, directed by Julian Hayes. My official story, fed to Marcus via a series of carefully crafted texts, was that I was being sent to Chicago for an emergency, week-long series of user workshops. So stressful, I texted. They just sprung it on me. In reality, I was 5 miles from my house, in a corporate suite hotel with blackout curtains and an encrypted internet line, courtesy of Nexus Analytics. The cybersecurity team Julian hired had been thorough. They confirmed the hardware keylogger, but they also found something else, a sophisticated Trojan hidden deep in my operating system. It was mirroring my entire desktop in real time to an external server. Marcus was not just stealing my passwords, he was watching my every click. "This is good," Julian had said, his voice flat. "He is arrogant. He thinks he is still in control." The plan was simple. We would not shut him out. We would invite him in. My work is designing user experiences, and I was about to create the most compelling experience of my life. The tech team built me a world. They called it a sandbox, a perfectly replicated, fully isolated simulation of the Nexus Analytics internal servers. It looked like my desktop. It felt like my network. But it was a cage, completely walled off from the real Project Odyssey. From my hotel room, I logged in. I began to work. I created a new folder, Project Ethel. I spent 2 days fabricating an entire new breakthrough initiative. I designed user flowcharts, data maps, and synthesis reports for a revolutionary AI-driven predictive engine. I made the data look valuable. I made it look game-changing. I, as Alara Vance, was, carelessly, handling the most valuable data in the company's history. Then, I set the bait. I created a digital sticky note on the Sandbox desktop. On it, I typed new server password temp Ethel dev 902. It was a stupid mistake, a mistake the real meticulous Alara Vance would never make. But the Alara they were studying, the one they believed was weak, emotional, and buckling under pressure, she would make it. On the 3rd night of my Chicago trip, I made the call. "Hey," I said, pitching my voice high with exhaustion the moment he picked up. "I am so sorry. I know it is late." "Hey, baby." His voice was warm, dripping with false concern. "How is Chicago? You sound terrible." "It is a nightmare," I said, letting a tremor creep in. "I am just so scattered. Listen, I think I forgot to log out of my main terminal at home. Could you just check? I am so paranoid about the new project data." A pause. The sound of a predator sensing weakness. "Of course, honey. Do not even worry about it. I will go make sure everything is secure right now. You just try and get some rest." I hung up and turned to the other monitor, the one streaming a live feed from the smart camera in my office. The camera his tech expert had missed. I did not wait long. 10 minutes. The office door opened. Marcus and Chloe slipped in. They did not turn on the lights, the glow of my ultra-wide monitor illuminating their faces. I watched him sit in my chair. His fingers moved over the duplicate keyboard. I saw my mirrored Sandbox desktop appear. "She is in," he whispered, a note of triumph in his voice. I watched him navigate. His mouse hovered. It found the sticky note. I could almost feel the jolt of adrenaline shoot through him. "You have got to be kidding me," he breathed. He accessed the Project Ethel folder. He plugged in an external drive. I watched the progress bar as he copied my entire, beautiful, fabricated world. "This is it," Chloe said, her voice giddy. This is twice as valuable as the Odyssey data. They were in. They had the bait. Marcus logged out and meticulously cleared the browser history, the clumsy cleanup of a man who thinks he is a genius. But they did not leave. I watched them on the camera feed. They stood together for a moment, bathed in the monitor's glow, a perfect portrait of treachery. Then Chloe turned and walked out of the office. Marcus followed. My heart hammered. This was not part of the script. I switched the feed to the camera in the living room, the one that covered the kitchen. The light from the refrigerator clicked on, spilling a cold, white rectangle onto the floor. Chloe was standing in front of it. I watched her pull a small, amber-colored glass vial from her handbag. She unscrewed the cap, pinched the dropper, and carefully, methodically, squeezed 6, 7, 8 drops into the open top of my Brita water filter. She screwed the cap back on, put the vial away, and closed the refrigerator door. The kitchen was dark again. I heard her voice, muffled but clear through the living room audio feed. "Just a small dose every day," she said to Marcus, who was leaning against the counter. "By the time she is arrested, everyone will think she is having a real, clinical nervous breakdown. They will think she is insane. They did not just want me in prison, they wanted me to be completely and utterly destroyed. My mind and my credibility shattered, leaving them free, clear, and rich." I sat in the dim light of the hotel room, the glow of the 2 monitors painting my face. One screen showed the live feed from my kitchen. The other showed a secure chat window with Julian Hayes. My hands were laced together on the desk, so tightly my knuckles were white. The image of Chloe emptying that vial into my water filter played on a loop in my head. A cold, visceral anger threatened to choke me, but I pushed it down, compartmentalizing it. That was a problem for later. The poisoning was an attempted murder, but the data theft was the lever that would move the world. On the monitor, I watched them. My users were interacting with the product. They had moved to the living room, to my living room. Marcus was pouring 2 large glasses of my best scotch, the 18-year-old single malt I was saving. Chloe was on the sofa, her feet tucked under her, giddy with success. They were celebrating. "This is even better than the Odyssey data," Chloe said, her voice bright and sharp over the audio feed. She took the glass from him. "It is a whole new development stream. This is worth more than the last batch. We can ask for double this time. At least." Marcus swirled the amber liquid in his glass, a smug smile on his face. He sat beside her, slinging an arm over the back of the sofa. "I told you, she is completely predictable. She is so wrapped up in her stupid empathy and user journeys that she cannot see what is right in front of her. This Chicago trip has her totally stressed out. She practically gift-wrapped it for us." They discussed the logistics. Their plan was precise. Step 1. Contact their buyer at the Veronin Syndicate. Arrange the sale of Project Ethel. Step 2. Once the new, larger payment was secured in their offshore account, they would execute the final part of their plan. They would use a burner phone to make an anonymous call to Nexus Analytics. They would report me. They would mention erratic behavior, signs of a mental breakdown, and serious security lapses. They would point the company's internal security team directly toward the breadcrumbs Marcus had planted, the fake trail that led from the Odyssey data breach straight to my credentials. I would be fired. I would be disgraced. And then I would be arrested. And by the time anyone looked at my water supply, I would be diagnosed as paranoid and delusional. It was perfect. My other monitor, the secure chat with Julian, blinked with a new message. "They have contacted the buyer," he wrote. "The meet is set for tomorrow." I typed back, my fingers flying. "They are planning to frame me as soon as the sale is complete. They will call Nexus and report me." A new message from Julian appeared almost instantly. "Let them. It does not matter. There is something you need to know. Alara, we are not the only ones watching your husband." I stared at the text. "The Veronin Syndicate has been the target of a major FBI sting operation for the last year." He continued. Our breach on Tuesday, the Odyssey data. It was the first concrete link the Bureau had to Marcus. The purchase of that house lit him up like a Christmas tree on their financial trackers. My breath hitched. The FBI was waiting. They knew he was a data broker, but they did not know his source. Now they do. They are letting this second transaction happen because they are not just interested in Marcus and his girlfriend. They want the whole network. They want the buyers. A cold, sharp thrill cut through my anger. This was bigger than my house, my money, my job. The data, Julian, I typed. The Project Ethel files. The sandbox data your team created was a work of art. Ilara, it is not just fake, it is a Trojan horse. The second that file is opened, the moment it is verified on the buyer's server, it is designed to deploy a federal-grade tracker. It will not just ping the FBI, it will give them a direct, real-time map of the Veronan servers. It will burn their entire infrastructure to the ground. I looked back at the other monitor. Marcus and Chloe were kissing. They were toasting their future, their new house, their new life. They thought they were selling a file. They thought they were geniuses, masterminding their perfect crime. They had no idea. They were walking, hand in hand, into the largest cybercrime sting on the East Coast. They were not the predators. They were the bait. The meet was set for 2 p.m. the next day, a suite at the Chamberlain Hotel, downtown. Marcus and Chloe, dressed in what I assumed was their new millionaire wardrobe, left our house with the confidence of royalty. They believed they were driving to a simple transaction that would double their newfound wealth. They had the external hard drive, my beautiful fake data, tucked securely in Marcus's briefcase. They had no idea that they were the transaction. I was not in Chicago. I was on the 24th floor of the Chamberlain, one floor directly above their meeting. The room was not a hotel suite. It was a federal tactical operations center. Screens lined every wall, showing feeds from 4 different cameras hidden in the suite below. Julian Hayes stood in the corner, arms crossed, a picture of grim satisfaction. He was surrounded by a dozen FBI agents, all wearing headsets, speaking in low, clipped tones. I sat at a central console, a headset on, just like theirs. My screen showed a live feed of the data tracker. It was a simple, pulsing dot, waiting. "Targets are mobile. Entering the elevator," an agent by the window murmured. I watched on a black and white screen as the elevator doors opened on the 23rd floor. Marcus walked out, straightening his suit jacket. Chloe was beside him, her hand possessively on his arm. They looked golden, untouchable. They knocked on the door of suite 2307. The door was opened by a man in an expensive suit, the buyer. He was an undercover agent. "Welcome, please, come in." His voice, slightly tinny, came through my headset. I watched them walk in. The suite was plush, with panoramic views of the city they thought they had just conquered. "Let's not waste time," Marcus said, his voice brimming with an arrogance that made my stomach turn. He placed his briefcase on the glass coffee table and snapped it open, retrieving the hard drive. "You understand," the agent said calmly. "We must verify the data before the transfer is initiated." "Of course," Marcus said, magnanimous. He handed the drive over. The agent took the drive and plugged it into a laptop on the desk. I watched his hand move to the trackpad. "Here is the main file directory," the agent said. "Project Ethel, correct." "That is the one," Chloe cooed. "It is his wife's. She is so disorganized, just left it for us." The agent's finger clicked. On my console, the screen flashed from waiting to active. A map exploded across the display, lines of code scrolling rapidly. "Signal confirmed," an agent next to me said, his voice rising. "We have the handshake. We are in. We have their servers." The lead agent in our room did not hesitate. "Go, go, go!" I watched the main camera feed. The door to suite 2307 burst open, splintering off its hinges. A wall of black-clad agents stormed the room, weapons raised. FBI hands in the air. "Get on the ground. Now." The sound of their shouts, of Chloe's high-pitched shriek, was deafening. Her face, a mask of total bloodless shock, was a perfect image of terror. She crumpled to her knees, hands clamped over her head. Marcus was different. He was disbelief, then pure, rat-like panic. He looked wildly from the agents to the buyer, who now had a weapon pointed at his chest. "It was not me," he screamed, his voice cracking. "It was my wife, Alara Vance. She framed me. She is the one who sold the data. She did it." The lead agent in the suite, a tall man with a dead calm face, did not even look at Marcus. He was already speaking into his own tactical microphone, the one broadcasting to the entire team. "We have the broker and the accomplice. Team 1, secure the subjects." He paused, then spoke again, clear as a bell. "Thank you for your cooperation, Ms. Vance." In the operations room, I leaned forward, my lips almost touching the microphone of my own headset. The lead agent had patched me through, a direct isolated feed into Marcus's earpiece as they cuffed him. His name was all I said. "Marcus." I watched on the screen as his body went rigid. His head snapped up, his eyes wide, searching the ceiling, the walls, looking for me. "No, Marcus," I said, my voice perfectly level, perfectly clear, echoing only inside his head. "You were not the mastermind. You were just the user in my usability test." I watched the blood drain from his face as the comprehension finally, truly, hit him. The smugness, the arrogance, all of it evaporated, replaced by the raw, sickening realization. "And you failed." I watched him, a small, pathetic, broken thing, as the agents hauled him to his feet. He was not a con man. He was not a genius. He was just a pawn in a game he never even knew he was playing. The legal aftermath was seismic. The moment the FBI was involved, this escalated far beyond a domestic dispute. Faced with the unassailable proof of the Project Ethel sting, the clear audio of their conspiracy, the high-definition video of Chloe poisoning my water filter, and the international wire transfers from the Veronin syndicate, their alliance did not just crack, it shattered. They immediately turned on each other. Chloe, facing charges that included conspiracy to commit murder, took the first deal offered. Her defense was a torrent of tears and accusations, painting Marcus as a coercive, manipulative Svengali who had preyed on her financial vulnerability and threatened her until she complied. It was a masterful performance, and it bought her a reduced sentence. Marcus, however, was the broker. He was the one who made the contact. He was the one who initiated the fraud. He was indicted on a list of federal charges that included industrial espionage, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and money laundering, not to mention the state charges for the attempted poisoning. He was facing decades, a lifetime in federal prison. I filed the divorce papers the day he was arraigned. The final act, however, took place not in a criminal court, but in the quiet, sterile room of our divorce proceedings. The criminal case was a foregone conclusion, but the division of assets was not. Marcus, in a final, desperate gambit, had instructed his lawyer to fight for the assets, including Aunt Clara's trust. His angle that I was mentally unstable. His lawyer, using the very breadcrumbs Marcus had planted, argued that Marcus had been managing my increasingly erratic behavior and paranoid delusions for almost a year. He was attempting to use the very trap he had set for Nexus Analytics to gaslight a judge. I did not let Julian object. I simply asked the court's permission to play a single audio file. "Your Honor," I said, my voice steady, "this is a recording from my home office on the day I first became aware of the situation. It clarifies the dynamic Mr. Thorne alleges." The judge, intrigued, agreed. I had the audio cued. I did not play the part where they practiced my voice. I did not play the part where they planned the theft. I fast-forwarded to the end, to the quiet moment of celebration after they believed they had succeeded. Chloe's voice, light and bored, filled the silent courtroom. God, do you think she's really that stupid? And then, Marcus, his voice, not panicked, not coercive, but filled with a chilling, casual contempt. She's not stupid, Chloe, she's good, and that's what makes this so easy. The silence that followed was absolute. The judge's face was stone. The argument of my instability, of his management, evaporated in that single clarifying moment of truth. The divorce was granted. I kept everything, the trust, the accounts, the house they had used as their stage. The glass mansion on Whispering Pines Lane, having been purchased with the proceeds of international crime, was seized by the federal government. Nexus Analytics, in the wake of the largest data breach that wasn't, saw the value in my unique experience. They did not just give me my job back, they promoted me. I now head a new division, User Experience Security, a department I built from the ground up, dedicated to studying and preventing the very human vulnerabilities that men like Marcus exploit. My final scene is this. I am in a new office. It is high up, overlooking the city, and sterilely clean. I open a new audio recording program on a brand new computer. I lean toward the microphone. I press the record button. Research Subject 001, Ilara Vance. Session 1 begins. I have analyzed their behavior. I have understood their motivations. Now, I must begin the most difficult user study of all understanding and healing, my own. Thank you so much for listening to this story. Comment below and let us know where you are listening from. We would love to connect and share our thoughts. Please subscribe to the Lily Revenge Stories channel, like this video, and give us even more support by hitting that hype button so this story can be heard by more people.